Steve, if you'd lead us in the short prayer, I appreciate it.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Lord, be with us today as we deliberate the business of the county. Help us, Lord, to keep in mind the best interest of our constituents, our taxpayers, our residents, Lord. Help us to do things that will be pleasing in your sight. Ask all these things, Lord, in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
I'm sorry.
All right. Have you had a chance to look at the minutes from June 11th of 2024?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes.
Second.
Okay, motion carries. Thank you. All right.
You know what I just found? That the one you're looking for.
Cody, what do you have for us today?
I had that one thing. One second here. To get out, maybe we're having some issues. You do the minutes already?
Yep.
There's that. First thing I have is accounts payable. Should have received an email on that. The total is $369,711.27. $369,711.27.
Any questions on the accounts payable?
I'll make a motion, we accept.
Second.
Okay, motion carries.
Yeah.
Next, we have payroll claims. The amount of the payroll claims is $401,088.89. 401,088.89.
Is that up a little bit because of the payouts, the golden medal?
Retention bonuses are in this one. That's why it's higher.
All right, I'll make a motion. We accept.
Second.
Okay, motion carries to approve the claim as presented.
I don't think you would. What is it we can't connect to?
Can't even see the items.
Private. Okay. And payroll time card approval, you should have gotten the email on the department head payroll time cards.
We did. I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, motion carries. Thank you.
Sorry. Okay. And payroll AP claims. Payroll AP claims are the benefits and so forth. And the amount on that is $345,018.69. $345,1869.
Okay, any questions on that? If
Nope,
not-
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Later. I think I got
Oh,
it.
okay.
I haven't seen it. Okay. And I sat in front of you prior to the meeting, the monthly report for weights and measures submitted by Inspector Dan Hackman. I have a copy for you all as well. That's ready for login. Hold on. There's one each of those. You're also going to have utilities. I can see if I have another copy. I do. Okay. Dan's got his annual report that will be ready next week. So we've got him on the agenda because I know you all said you'd like for him to come before you maybe once a year. So next week he will be here to present his annual report.
Very good.
And
Yeah, he's been very, very structured about getting us reports on a
Yeah.
regular basis, and so That makes it,
And I think coming in once a year like that, if there's any questions or just,
Sure.
okay, that's a good thing.
all right. Any questions on that? If not, I accept a motion to enter this into the record.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion carries.
Okay. And we have utilities paid in lieu in the amount of $35,520.28, 35,520.28. Laid that in front of you before the meeting as well.
All right, any questions on utilities paid? Is it,
No, motion approved.
Second.
okay, motion carries, thank you.
Eric, you guys want a copy of that? I don't know if you use those or not, but there's one each for you.
Wouldn't hurt.
I am pretty sure that's all that I have. But while Eaton's looking at that, if I get that back up and realize I had something else, I reserve the right to bring it up later.
Okay. All right, any other questions for Tony?
No.
I can bring it up under Ed's. You'll share, right, Ed? Okay, good.
If not, we'll move on to county engineer. Morning, Nate.
Good morning. Short list. Okay, just a little update on that NDOT special call. Obviously, we have the dates. I've shared some of that information about it. I'm not ready yet to ask for specific approval to apply at this point yet, but I'm still working on specific elements. I'm going out and actually photographing each of the possible bridges that we have currently on the list so that I can put a better application together for you. And
Did
then
you say they moved that deadline back, or the deadline was back farther?
it's farther than I had anticipated, so it doesn't actually open until September and closes October 11th.
So we've got
So
more
I was
time.
thinking, so we've got quite a bit more time. So
Good.
my hope is that I'll have something together to present to council and you as the commissioners. Probably not even in July. I probably will wait until August. It'll give just more time to put some things together. There's no need to
But
hurry
you're
that.
still gonna use some consulting on that?
Yep, so I've already solicited some work through Butler, Fairburn, and Seifert, who had done a very similar application for Allen County back in I want to say 2012, but that seems too far back at this point. So it was a successful project for Allen County, so they've gone through some of my list. I'm going to have them re-review that once I've made some edits to this. So, but I won't need them to put the full application or presentations together. I'm not sure if there'll be actually an NDOT presentation that I have to take to the state or not. So it's possible that they'll just go through and look at the list, vet them all, and they may just go straight to award because it is a special call. They're trying to move this thing quickly.
Well, I'll be interested to see what you come up with after your assessment.
Yep. And I'm doing some meetings. In fact, my plan is today to go to the Adams County Soil Water Conservation Board meeting this evening and present during kind of their extra part of, at the end of their meeting, present what we're proposing. And I'm going to request that they provide me with a letter of support if they agree with the application. I'll just add that to the application because part of the process would involve us establishing a standard that we would run with. And so I'd like to
How
have
will that
somebody.
affect them, or how will we interact with soil and water conservation?
I'm using that as a way to reach out to the farming community, to talk to some of the farmers and those involved in that, just saying, hey, these are things we're looking at doing within the public right of way. And I'm trying to avoid any concerns that somehow this is going to make things worse for them. It's just going to be a change for the most part. So before I go and start changing things, I'd like them to at least sit that group. And then I'm planning on attending a Farm Bureau meeting in Monroe. I think it is July 11th. I'm going to attend that as well.
Very good.
So just let them be aware of it. That way they don't come in here and tell you why I'm doing a bad job. They can tell me to my face when I go to their meeting. But no, I don't expect that to be confrontational at all. So,
Good.
in fact, my purpose in that presentation or my talk to them is to let them know I'm trying to answer your questions in advance, anticipating them. And here's what we're going to try to do. And by adopting the standard, this is going to make that better for you. So before I present to you any recommendations.
Good.
Right? And then lastly, you do have a copy in front of you is the draft request for qualifications. That is NDOT standard format for use of federal funds on the construction inspection, construction engineering agreement. That is something that we've been awarded funds technically for that phase of the project, but you're going to have to do a qualifications-based selection. So I have submitted that to the state for a DB Eagle. That's the Disadvantaged Business Enterprise. There's a certain percentage that any federal project has to have. So I requested that. Once I have that, I will send it off to the state and then we'll get a schedule. I'm hoping to have that set by August 1st. So I should have the DB Eagle this week and then I can get that out and advertise it. And as soon as that gets posted publicly, you will likely get calls from consultants, but I'm listed as the point of contact for it as the ERC. So if they do, they should technically be contacting me. So
Sure.
you let me know, or you can redirect them to me until I get everything turned in. I'm asking for electronic copies in this, so there won't be stacks of paper showing up, so I can just email them to you or make them available, or if you want, I could print them out to you as well when we finally get those in. So, but that's the format and kind of timing on that project. All right,
Good.
any other questions for me?
Thanks, Nate.
Nope, thank you.
Hey, Nate, just one question. How many bridges are going to right now for the safety tank currently?
Right now, I think I have 48, but I'm hoping to add 2 more. So it'd be about 50 out of our 163. We could have that. If,
Big ones?
well, it's all in between, so I'm trying to add 2 big ones right now, so it could be as many as 50 right now.
Is that going to include having anybody that picks up trash on the road wear a safety vest?
Wait a minute.
I might actually get them a safety vest.
I got the emails from the road.
You don't listen.
Glad to
You
hear them
don't
away.
listen? Oh my gosh, we might get an ordinance about that.
I got a name for it. Brad, what do you have for us today?
Yeah.
Good morning.
Good morning. Like I said,
4 mowers up and running?
yes,
All right.
everybody's out mowing. All right, the first thing I have is I have a permit from Indiana Michigan Power on County Road, on Pickwa Road between Monmouth Road and 000. They're gonna do some work up there and they're calling it reconductor and pole replacement, but they're gonna put in some new poles and it looks like there's some other poles they need to upgrade. They're just doing some work in that area, but
Between Monmouth Road and 000 on, that's on
on
850?
Pickwa, on Pickwa,
On Pickling.
yeah. So from Monmouth Road out to, or up to 000 Road,
Gotcha.
yeah. And Paul actually went and looked at it and he said it, I mean, it looks fine where they're gonna be and
That Ryan Andy said.
Indiana, Michigan, yeah. Yeah, we don't see any issues with it, so.
Motion approved.
Second. Okay, motion carries. Thank you, Brad.
And so while you're signing that, just to give you an update, you know, we've been working on County Road 700 South from 27 to 150 West for years. And this week, the engineering firm that's working on it said they should have the initial set of plans ready for review by the end of this week, so we are moving along.
Good.
Getting
That'll be
closer than
good to have that off your plate.
Oh, my goodness. Yes, it will be. So the other thing, just some updates. I spoke to you the one time about gutters, still looking into gutters on the building. We're finding out that other gutter installers, the way it's going to have to be attached is kind of an issue. So I've been talking to them, getting their ideas on how to do it. So just as you know, I didn't let it go. It's just trying to figure out how they're going to do it.
Yeah.
So the way it was put on and done was different. And the other thing, it's been talked about, we finished our dust control yesterday and just thought it might be interesting for you this year. We sprayed 11,167 feet and that was between 24 customers.
That's 2 miles.
And this year, you know, of course, it's $3 a foot. So just some background. In 2023, we did 10,821 feet for 22 customers, and it was $2.90 a foot. And all the way back in 22, we did 17,000 feet for 22 customers. So more customers did longer distances, but it was only $2.26 a foot at that time.
So you think people backed off a little bit because of the price?
Yeah, they did, but it was interesting. I thought maybe they would more this year, and they didn't. So, yeah, we sprayed, yeah, you're right, just about 2 miles this year. And then just another quick update, we are planning on starting chip and seal after July 4th. We're gonna let the holidays get through, and we're doing a lot of patching here and there right now, and patching cracks. And we also had the guys out the last couple of days, you know, when the roads get hot and the tar comes up, and the guys will go out and like dribble some stone on them to help them. So we have been out covering Old County doing that. And I'm sure that'll continue for about 2 weeks the way it looks. But other than that, and yes, we are out mowing. All 4 mowers are up and running.
You got a lot of chip and seal. Is that list still current that you published earlier?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, roughly 77 miles, I think it was total. And that's all I got.
Any difference on the chip and seal down south as far as what type of stone you use?
So the past couple of years, we've used 1/2-inch chips, and that was I don't say a byproduct, but it was when they would crush other stone, run it through their wash plants, they had to put some separate screens in to make that. And, you know, we tried it and we haven't noticed the difference on how long it lasts. So this year we're switching to 11s. It's basically the same size of stone. It's got a few more fines in it, but they make it all the time. So we're just gonna go with the stone they have now.
So when you do that, do you have any trough there that you do down south when you?
We'll chip it, the roads we chip seal, we'll get chip sealed, but then once that's done, then we'll go out and start patching troughs. Basically what it is, make it so the beds only come out in like a 3-foot wide stone, and we'll just run those troughs.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, we got a lot of troughs that need done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that's a discussion we'll have to have coming up too, as far as, you know, what we're gonna do as far as trying to prevent damage from horses and buggies, so.
But yeah, so we're moving along. It's hot out.
Very good.
Yeah.
Well, appreciate the guys' work and we're on 4 10-hour days.
Yeah, yes,
That's
that's very much appreciated, and the guys enjoy it.
Yeah.
Get a lot more done, and tell them every morning, be careful. Gets hot in the afternoon, drink plenty of water, and
Is that new equipment working out good as far as the loader, track loader?
oh my. Yeah, thank you guys for the mini excavator and the skid loader. Ever since we got it, that mini's been out every day.
Really?
Oh yeah, the pipe crew's
Wow.
got that out every day using it. And the skid loader's more of it's not an everyday, but
Sure.
thank you guys for allowing us to do that. It's just so much handier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beats a wheelbarrow.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Brandon.
Thank you guys.
All right. Rick, what'd you have for us today?
Last week I presented, the elevator
Right, yeah.
maintenance. This is a revision or some changes.
Well, we were gonna take away the automatic renewal part. Was that kind of what was bothering?
This went from 5-year to 3-year and then a 1-year.
Renewal. Yeah. Because we were gonna do the quarterly
Yeah, that's what that
maintenance.
Yeah, I didn't think the numbers got that what we wanted, wasn't changed or what you wanted.
Or we didn't like the
Yeah.
contract. We-
I think that's what you guys all ended up saying, is that, and that's fine with me. That's probably the max, if you're gonna do a renewal.
Any questions on that?
This went from 5-year to 3-year, then to the 1-year.
1 year auto renewal.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Okay, I accept a motion to approve this contract as presented.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All right, motion carries.
Okay, last week, the AC unit, we had too many numbers in there.
Yeah, that's.
They did correct it, but there's a but in here. It's like $198 more because the last quote that we got, that's how much that unit went up, $198. So I think it was like 663.0. This is $6,570.22. And this is for the AC unit at the courthouse. If you'd like to see it.
Did you want a copy of that?
Got another quote, what is that?
This is a quote for the Mitsubishi unit.
At the courthouse.
Okay.
This is the
Are
one
we
I-
also doing one for the DeMarc room or?
I'll bring that.
That's the
up
thing they
next.
corrected the numbers on, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
That number you have, right, 6,001 feet.
$6,570.22.
That's repair. Thanks.
Install new.
Oh, install units. What company is doing it?
Don Myers.
What kind of?
All right, what do you gentlemen think?
Motion approved.
My second, what's the remove the existing radiator price of 780? Are we doing that also, or?
I think we were gonna do it all, weren't we? Yeah.
So that's the price includes them too?
I think those are ads. Those are ads. You got the 65, 70, 22 to install the new unit
So then
plus,
that's the three all.
plus 70, say 780 plus
That's kind of
380.
too bad that just since they gotta take that one radiator out, they gotta drain and refill the whole boiler.
Right.
That is
Well,
interesting.
I
Here's what
guess
we
it is
want to
what it
do.
is.
After talking to Judd last week, we'd like to try to freeze that machine that freezes it,
Huh,
and then cut it and get it out and then cap it. So hopefully we don't have to do that.
that's interesting. Interesting thought.
Yeah, freeze the line,
Yeah.
cut it, cap it. I hope we don't have to do that.
Good.
That's what I was asking. You have we're approving 6,570.22. Do we have to also add the 780 and the 380, or is that 780 and 380 included in that 65?
It is not.
If he can freeze the line, he won't have to drain the whole system out.
That's right.
Right.
So
So it's a,
Didn't your motion just,
it's kind of.
My motion was for all three of those.
okay. I just wondering.
To the quote.
well, and it'd be nice if we didn't have
We
that.
don't have to do that. And it may be lower.
Okay.
All right, did you second that?
Yes.
All right, motion carries to approve this bid, including the add-ons, potential add-ons. So,
Okay.
do you want that?
My next thing to present to you is another AC unit for here for the DeMarc room up there. I believe Mike, I'm not sure if he sent all three of you, but Stan and Steve, Mike sent an email out to you about how
Right.
hot that room got up there.
Right.
It was like 105 degrees last Thursday. It's still throwing out alarms at it, but it's hovering 73, 75 right now. It's set at 67, so it's not keeping up. Mike can correct me, but I think there's more units in there. There's probably going to be more going in there. But it was unbelievable how hot that room got last Thursday. We have no backup in there. We have nothing, but what I'm presenting to you here.
So did it failed partly because we have more units in there than what the cooling was designed for, but
Right.
also the cooler that's in there, how old is that? Is that older?
It's probably, I'd say it's about 2017.
So it's like 7 years old anyway. So,
We had a failure. Discharge. Moisture.
So I guess I'm trying to figure out if we're just replacing that one unit with the new one or if we're adding a second unit.
We want to add.
So we gotta have what we need is a backup for that, so. That's a stance order now. That's a very important room. It's a very important room for communication for the entire county.
Right. So where are we proposing to pay for?
I'll just say this, if I get an alarm, and I was lucky that I was woken up in the middle of the night, or I wouldn't have heard the emails come through, and I came in immediately, when it was starting to do this temperature, well, in the 70s. By the time I got in, it was 105. A little bit later, we were starting to sleep better. And if there's equipment in that room, we don't work, period. Law enforcement, dispatch, phones, nothing works. So we can't have a single point into there and, you know, somebody to say, wait, to do maintenance. We don't know when something's gonna fail into something.
Well, one of the things we talked about was, in 1130, taking it out of 1138, but then you had that money in 1138 slotted for other uses. So the other thing, if we're gonna get it in there and get it done fairly soon, you know, we almost have to approve the project out of your budget and then get additionals approved at council next month, I suppose.
Yeah.
So if we're gonna approve that today, we need to approve it out of your budget.
That's a good point. All the things that we're trying to do later on, that gives us time. I can use 1138, take care of this now so we can get it done. And then we can work, if I need additionals later on, then we can work at trying to get that done later on.
Okay. So if we approve the project today, you've got money in your budget you can transfer to use to pay for that today. What do you guys think as far as the second unit in that room?
What have you got? Have you got a quote?
Yeah, I want to explain this a little bit to you. There is an AC unit up there. It's a 2-ton. Okay. On this quote, you're going to see a 2.5-ton price and a 3-ton, which is obviously more money. If there's going to be future additives into that room, I'm suggesting the 3-ton while we're doing it. How this is going to work up there, it's going to be like the room down there. They're both simultaneously going to work. One's going to go, one's going to, that's how I want it. Because in the other room that we have right now, we have 4 AC units, 4 condensers that are running that, and they work back and forth. That's how this room will work too. That's how we're going to set this up.
So will the condenser actually set in the caged area out here, or it'll set closer?
It's going to have to be on the roof. That's where the other one is for.
Oh.
It's just where we got to put it up there, so it's got to be craned up there. That's all included in this. But, I mean, any questions about any?
So if we've got 2 units, we'll have, they can back each other up, plus they'll have enough capacity to handle any additional switches and routers and whatever we put in.
I would recommend going with the 3-ton, but I've got a price for a 2.5-ton on here when I give this to you. So I'd recommend going with the 3-ton for future items. Anything else is going to go up there, we'll do it.
Because you had talked about having to move that UPS out of that demarc room too. Is that something we have to do or not necessarily?
No, we don't have.
Okay. All right.
I mean, I
Should be
like
good in that place.
that's going to be extremely expensive.
You have enough light to it.
Yeah, we'll do that.
So if you're good with that,
210 is
if you're right.
75.
That's what I'm saying. So if a 2-ton is almost taking care of it, okay, and if we put another 2.5, then we're doubling what we're putting up there. It isn't, seen the price.
I don't know what he's,
But it's the, that's the price and a half, it's the price difference. How long's it gonna take to, we need, and have to replace the old 2-ton there, you see what I'm saying? So if you put a 2.5,
Sit up straight.
by the time that 2-ton needs to be replaced, let's save money. Am I making sense, Steve? I don't know, I haven't seen the price yet.
well, you're,
Well, it's not near as bad as I. Do you think?
My question might be, what's the life expectancy, the additional life expectancy of the old unit?
Jeff told me he thought from 3 to 5.
My question was gonna be, do we just replace that one at the same time when we've got the crane here? You know, I think anytime you set a crane, use it all you can.
3 down.
That may be long enough to
So
make it worth our while.
it wouldn't be enough capacity. I mean, obviously, we wouldn't have the backup if we just take that old unit and replace it with the 3-ton.
Yeah, we gotta have more than that.
Okay.
And I like having the redundancy, honestly, in that room. I like having two.
That's how,
Even if one fails, it probably doesn't go to 105 degrees again. It may go to 80
Yeah,
and you
it
may
may.
get alarms, but at least it wouldn't
Exactly.
fail.
what, you know, the room's grown.
Yeah.
I guess the point that can be made is right now,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
And there's no future plans in sight to move that room anywhere else for any reason.
I wouldn't want to do that.
I think that has to always be our
Yeah,
long-term demarc
as far
room.
as I know, that's the room.
Yeah.
But
Well-
more things may go in there.
So,
If-
like-
If nothing else, May and March. I may have to knock out that wall between that room, office, my office, as things go. Because we keep taking stuff on in the county. If we would just stop adding on applications and so on, then we wouldn't have to do this. If we could move back in the 80s where you just had local area networks, so you didn't have an internet connection and all this stuff, then we would be able to suffice just well within our department. We wouldn't have the increased spending, but as soon as we do this other stuff and everyone keeps adding applications and so on, and law enforcement in the state of Indiana keeps bringing stuff down and bringing stuff down, you know, it snowball effect. You're gonna have to add in servers, you're gonna have to add in storage, and then on top of it, we take on the entire county. So you have these cities and so on, adding stuff as well. And so then that's what happens, you know, it's a snowball effect, it's nothing other than that. So,
Well, if we go back to 1980, we can start bringing file cabinets back in and just start going back to
Can I get a
paper.
flip phone again?
What's that?
Can I get a flip phone, please? No phone? Oh, that's even better.
That, it's just my expectation, that's where we're at. All we gotta do is just when they say they're gonna do these things, just say, no, we're not gonna do them. That's not my decision.
Yeah,
It's just people that bring it in, and I am the one who has to then support it, you know, the stuff that's there. So,
Yeah.
Make a motion to approve the 3-ton unit.
Second.
There a total, did anybody add those two together?
But I can.
well,
Calculator doesn't work over here.
this price doesn't include the 3-ton. Oh, yeah, there it is,
Down at the bottom.
1764.
You add 1764 to it.
Yeah.
I got it right, so,
What is it?
Do we want to put 2 of them up there?
That was my only question, Steve. 12,138.45 is what I got. 12,138.45 would be the motion.
That's what I have.
If you were, if, one question, would that old unit up there be worth anything if we put two new ones up there, since we got a crane doing it?
Well, would you wanna do this? I'm just throwing it out there. Would you wanna take that 2-ton and put it over there at the courthouse? Life expectancy is 3 to 5. You
At
wanna
least
take-
it gets it off the roof. 3 to 5 years on the roof and 3 to 5 years on the ground is a different story for me.
Yeah.
3 to 5 years on the ground and I'll have to get a crane when it fails, but 3 to 5 years on the roof, you gotta get that crane back here when it fails.
Do we wanna put the two new ones, but the old one in?
I'm liking that.
Could we go could we go to lift 2.5 tons up there and then move that one?
Maybe 2 new 2.5 tons. I would think that would be same cooling
Talk to 'em.
equivalency of a 3 and a 2.
Maybe talk to them about,
I'm gonna rescind my second and let's get some information, bring this back
Here,
up.
here's the thing, gentlemen. Time's an essence
Yeah.
on this. We gotta get this done.
Where's your bottleneck at? Is it getting the unit in here? Is it getting the crane scheduled? Is it?
Well, my conversation with Judd last week, listen, if I get approval of this Tuesday, we need it yesterday.
Okay.
So you gotta get moving on this. We're 90
Well-
degree weather and stuff now.
Yeah, I know.
like looking at your first quote, it doesn't say how big that unit is on here.
Yeah, it was, that's over there was.
I know. 2 ton?
Yeah.
Well, why don't we, make a motion to approve both of these units while we got the crane here and move that unit to use it at the courthouse? You wanna do?
I like that. I like that
But
a lot.
I mean, even without the exact dollar amount, it just makes more sense.
Yeah.
Is that the one we just passed?
Yeah, it is.
And I would assume that's a different unit, right? We're talking about Mitsubishi units
So that's
versus
bring that down then.
That's a Mitsubishi unit that's up there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing.
Oh, it's the same unit.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's older.
Yeah, I'm all for getting 2 new ones up there while we got the crane here.
And then
We'll
move that
reload-
2-ton over there.
Relocate that one over there.
We kind of know the ballpark number here, guys.
So we can approve the project without the exact number, but we're still gonna have to depend on being able to pull that money out of Mike's budget, unless we wanna approve it out of somewhere else.
Mike, since it's coming out of your budget, what are your thoughts on that?
I got a number in, on 1,000. I got money in for the courthouse,
Okay.
Superior Court, and I got funds for this building to take care of issues like this. So it's that, I was trying to plan on trying to do stuff over the courthouse that we drastically need done for power in a hurry. And,
So do you think you're,
now from this building, the annex, it has the most amount of money in it. Look, last, it was somewhere around 70 to 75K for this building.
well, why don't we plan on approving it, based on the money, in your budget that you would have to move? Or if you've got it allotted for this building, then you wouldn't have to move anything.
I can just do that.
It's really all we're doing.
Then if we need it somewhere else, I can do it additional later on in the year.
Well, are you comfortable doing this without, an exact quote?
I am. I feel.
So right now, we've got 2,
We would have to rescind the motion on this last project, so.
so on the 12,138.45, you want to just keep that amount, but amend it to say, as well as the project of moving a unit to,
Well, actually,
Courthouse.
the two become one project,
Yes.
actually.
but the only amount that you know for sure is the 12,138.45 at this time. Is that right?
Well, we're almost approving blindly without a number.
Well, even if you added, let's just say you added that and then the one that was going on.
Yeah, if we just add these two together,
Yeah,
you think that covers
I
the,
mean, I would sure think so. Because you're buying it, and we were buying it.
Yeah.
And then you were gonna improve the 3-ton here.
Yeah. Well, we could just do it as a not to exceed.
yeah, I'm getting 19,868.67 when I add all those numbers together. We just say not to exceed,
20,000.
20.
think 20 will get it?
Yeah, but remember, that's the price of one new one, so we got to get 2 new ones,
So
so.
we got two new ones here. When we add these two together, we got two new ones.
There's 2 new ones here.
They're both
Because
3-ton.
we were gonna put it.
And that negates that very first one when you did
Right.
the add-ons and all that, just takes that out of the picture.
Yes, I'm following you now.
So let's just do
So
what,
we would have to rescind our original motion on the courthouse project and then do a new motion to approve this as one project to replace both units. Are we doing it with 2.5 ton?
that's what you wanna do.
Okay, replace both units for the demarc room, or replace the one unit and add an additional unit for the demarc room, and then use the current unit as, for the IT room at the courthouse.
Yes,
And that would all be one.
all be one.
And then we
So you got
don't
a
have the
3-ton
same,
and what?
Would be 2.5 tons.
2.5 tons?
Yes.
and then we still have the same crane charge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Feels to me like it ought to work.
Why won't, I don't know why it won't.
So I'll withdraw my motion for the demarc room unit, or I'll modify it to include Stan's explanation that we just went through. Replace the 2.5 up there, put a new 2.5 up there, and move the 2.5 that's there over to the courthouse IT room, not to exceed $20,000.
Second.
And make it not to exceed 19,999.
Steve,
Oh,
19,999.
is 20,000 kind of a magical number there I need to stay away from? Can I have two quotes?
Or 2 quotes.
19,999,
Okay, there you go.
99.
hey, Steve, you got 19,868.57.
Yeah, that's what I had.
And you're gonna buy
That's our world.
2.5 ton, right?
Yes.
Right,
And not for 3 ton, 3 tons out.
yeah.
A penny makes a big difference.
So not to exceed
Is that okay
$19,999.
with you, Rick?
Did you get that, Tony? That change in the motion?
So here's what I have.
I'll try to get that exact number.
I took out the first one that you did. On a motion by Steve and Steve to approve a quote for 2.5 ton ducted air conditioner units at the complex. And to move another unit from the complex to the courthouse for a project not to exceed 19,99999.
Okay.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
I guess I could
We'll cross our
have went back
fingers
and
and hope
listened
we
to
can get all
recordings.
that
I was
done
doing
tonight.
it.
It should be.
Why not 20?
The issue might be the removal of the one up there. We haven't really factored that in.
It
but-
shouldn't really be. I mean, yeah, maybe, but I think that's the way to go.
Okay. So,
All right.
so then I need to make a motion to rescind the motion we made previously
For the courthouse.
for the
project.
courthouse project.
Because that project is wrapped in with your
In
current
the current
motion.
motion. So I'll make the motion to rescind that motion that we made previously.
Okay,
Second.
very good.
Should all be taken care of now, Tony.
I'm sure Tony's got all that.
You're keeping me on my toes, right?
Well,
It's
and
really
hopefully-
Oh, great idea, Rick. Great,
The
good
only-
idea. I like it.
The only thing is, hopefully by adding that second unit, that's available to where it doesn't delay the project.
Yeah.
That's a big key too.
Well, we'll find out here. As soon as I get out of here, I'll call.
All right.
I think. So there's stuff going on, but that'll.
Hey, Rick, who's the seller? Who's gonna sell this to us? What company's gonna sell it? Name the company?
Don Myers.
Oh, he's doing this also? Okay, good. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Clayton, that's the reason we have you guys set at that end. Keep us out of that ditch. Thank you.
All right, very good. Thank you, Rick.
If it gets by you, they got you. If it gets by you, they got Mark.
All right. Ed, what do you have for us today?
No report, thank you.
All right. All right. Ryan, would you like to come up? Heather? All right, good morning.
Good morning.
How's things?
I've been busy.
Yeah, it's like, what is it, Louisiana or what?
Feels like.
Brian, we know you guys, but for the audience, would you mind introducing yourselves and tell us a little bit about what you do for us?
So Heather Presley Cowan and Ryan Chasey, we're with now called Club 720 Development Corp., formerly known as the Housing Resource Hub. We have been engaged on a countywide basis through the EDC and Colton's was here to create and implement, a housing strategy for the county. Part of that process has been to talk with each individual unit of government to determine if they have what we call catalyst sites that they're particularly interested in seeing developed and would like to take an active role in developing. We've got a number of those catalyst sites that are ongoing right now, including one in the city of Decatur that we're working with Mayor Rickard on. But we've had a couple conversations now with Commissioner Stoppenhagen about the county-owned property that you have some interest in developing into housing. And so, we're invited here to just kind of discuss, I believe, how we work on that.
And we've contracted Brett Miller just to see what the opportunities and property involved.
Mhm.
So, he came back with what's in floodplain, what's not in floodplain,
Right.
da. So the county government are not developers, but we facilitate. So that's kind of my thought is, how can we facilitate a better environment for developers? So that's kind of where we've spent the money to have Brett do the research and that's kind of, we are where we are as far as our property. And of course, that property, takes in a lot of things. It takes in, obviously, floodplain. It takes in the opportunity for development land. But it would necessitate bridges to get across the Borum Run ditch. It also surrounds the jail, which offers a possible challenge for development. But, that all being said, I think there's some real opportunity there on that side. And that's kind of why I've always supported keeping that land, because I think there's opportunity there since it's adjacent to the city, so, yeah.
So so my question when I reached out to you, Brian and Heather, was what do you see other counties or other municipalities doing? What kind of things do you see being successful in helping developers kind of see their way through to develop those catalyst sites? What are you seeing works and what doesn't work?
Well, our nonprofit is actually established to build the linkages that you're discussing. Because what we found was, and we've been working in this stead with communities for about 7+ years, what we learned was a lot of communities didn't know what their potential was. And so that became an issue. And so they'd study, figure out we're shrinking, so we're dying, so let's stop building. You all happen to have 1,600 people every year looking around to come live here if there's an available unit. And what we figured out was you need about 1,000 housing units over the next 5 years in order to accomplish that. So the question would be, well, if that's the case and you've got folks like Kevin Biggs right here in your county, why aren't these houses built out? That's one of the touch points for us is Kevin came to us and said, look, I've got all these communities calling and I can't help them. And so the second issue we found was appraisal gap. If he buys a piece of land and develops it, the housing that's here today isn't valued at the level that a new construction, so it can't even comp, which is good. But if he built let's say a $300,000 home, it might only have a comparable value at 250, which means he'd lose 50,000 every time he built one. So that's an easy decision. And so the third issue was, well, if we figure out, where are these 1,500 people, 1,600 people coming from, and will they actually come and buy or rent if we do this, was the third issue communities were facing. And so we use a platform. You all launched Hoosier Homes not too long ago, and immediately, and I give Colton a lot of credit, and you all a lot of credit. I think people are trying to figure out the secret, but the day you all announced it, there were 8 to 10 people that came onto the platform ready to buy. And I just checked, you've got about 20.
Just to reiterate, Hoosier Homes gives an advantage for down payment assistance.
Yes, for buyers who earn a very wide range of incomes, we're talking up to around 115,000 for this county. So a buyer that earns that much could qualify for up to 5% in down payment assistance, plus an affordable mortgage, meaning the interest rates are well put together. And when you all signed that resolution saying, yes, we want to do this, Colton and we went to work to tell the whole world, hey, if you were looking around, if you're one of those folks, and immediately people came out of the woodwork. So you've got about 20 buyers since April 1st. About 13 of them are in the pre-approval process, and they're coming from places like, Monroeville, yes, but also Antwerp, Ohio. So you are attracting people just like your market potential analysis told us that would happen. All kinds of employers being served by this. So those three, what we call data errors, are the issue. How many units should we build? How do we get over that appraisal gap? And if we build it, will they come? And the answer is we can see that in real time. So we, as a nonprofit, then link arms with the local unit of government to accomplish that goal, going out and finding private sector partners who want to join us in the mission. So we've got somewhere in the order of about 1,000 housing units being built in various stages throughout the Northeast Indiana region right now with local units of government like yourselves.
When was that exactly that we brought your company on board to help us? Has that been 2 years, 3 years?
We're about a year into that, I believe. I think it was September. It was a discussion for a while.
It seems like we brought you on longer.
It was a discussion for a while, but.
Because we funded that with last year's budget. So that would have been over a year ago, I think.
Yeah.
That we brought Hub on.
Yeah, when we actually got to start working and the contract was in place was about September. But yes, we were talking with you long before that.
Yeah.
But we've actually been working on it in earnest since fall of last year.
Yeah. So, do we have a plan?
So when we think about, we went through the first leg of the journey, which was let's figure out the market potential and find out what we can about who wants to live here. We're seeing it in real time. You've got Decatur, who's got about 90 units potentially going into its riverfront, gorgeous development we're working with them on. That's rental. 37% of the units you need to build need to be rental. I will say single family detached and maybe some townhomes for home buyers is critical right now because you have a lot of people who want to move around within your county who can't. They can't find what they need. They want to move up. They want to move down to something more accessible. So getting started on single family detached is critical, I think, right now. And seeing what you have, that site alone, depending on the densities, that site could probably support 250 houses, believe it or not, because
So that,
buy that.
to put that plan in place for a developer such as Kevin Biggs, his big issue is the appraisal gap.
Yep.
What do we do there?
So what we do is we come and work with you as the investor. We treat you as an investor because you're an investor. And so being able to design this site is critical. And then we have two different ways that we go about building that site out. So this is what we did with Decatur. This is what we do with everyone. You form the steering committee of decision makers as the investor group. We have the site that we'll put under site control with our nonprofit. That allows us to interact with the private sector with some understanding that this is how it's going to work. They become our partner, your partner, not the other way around. So we design that site to what you love, and then we work with a builder developer to come on board with us who will actually build it out. And the way that we figure out how much the gap is really what is how we help that developer to.
So do we end up donating that land?
You could. I would say the two common ways communities invest are land contributions and TIF. We may be able to do it with both of those, with being able to get you money back out of that deal. That's our goal, is we right size that investment. Whereas a developer could come in and say, yes, I'll take that land and I'll develop it for you, like Topeka, 50 acres. They bought it for about $1.25 million, and they wanted to flip it to a developer, only to be told, Kevin Biggs was one of those builders, who came to the table and said, not only do we need you to contribute the land, we won't be buying it, but we also are going to need additional money for infrastructure to get over that appraisal gap. They turned to us and said, hey, help us get this thing across the finish line, and it's under construction now. So what I would say is we right size the investment. We figure out how to phase it for production purposes. Our nonprofit typically holds the land, and Kevin likes this, Kevin in particular, but other developers do, because there's so much risk right now in the market. So we help them to find those buyers, get those buyers into your Hoosier Homes program, and pre-sale those homes if possible.
To what extent do we contribute? For example, typically when they do a build out at Meadows across Creek, you know, they're looking at, I don't know how many lots out there. The developer funds the utilities, streets, all that. So like on this property, would we be contributing property plus utilities? Because like I said, for a lot of the development potential, you know, it's going to require a lot of utilities, including bridges. So, you know, who does that fall?
Well, we would go through a process to do feasibility. And in that process, we would figure out soil stability, environmental, utilities. What is that infrastructure program going to cost? And then typically we'll work with your financial advisors to say, hey, could residential TIF potentially cover most, if not all of this? And if so, then maybe we can look at developer-backed bonds. And so we get into the financing and we figure out how to close that gap with Kevin or a builder like them at the table.
Because like some of the utilities that the county has funded are with the sewer district, you know, but a lot of that is funded through grants in addition to user fees and stuff. So I don't know. Yeah, there's a lot of pieces to this puzzle.
It is.
You know, and I guess we would have to find out exactly, you know, which pieces fall into our part of the puzzle. So, but I mean, we are not opposed to providing infrastructure. Obviously, we put a lot of money into our roads, bridges, sewers, and other utilities and infrastructure. So, you know, we'd almost kind of have to look at it like that, as far as this is our opportunity to provide infrastructure for development.
You know, when we look at your return on investment between construction and your residential tax dollars, and this doesn't count when you attract somebody who's bringing their income taxes into our state as well.
Yeah.
But it's a substantial return that you're going to see on your investment.
Yeah.
So when we look at that, we'll lay out, this is what we think you're going to need to invest. Yes, it's the land, or it's land plus TIF. Wabash is a really good example. They were gifted land. They were willing to set up a residential TIF. We used ready money to do the infrastructure program for them so that they could use that TIF to do the next phase of development they wanted to do. So what we want to do is help you meet that 1,000 units, not just do one deal.
Yeah.
And I think the faster we can get to construction, the better.
Well, and it is interesting looking at it from the standpoint of increasing our tax base. You know, and that's one thing if you do it as a TIF, whether it falls under Decatur's TIF or the county's TIF, because the county doesn't have any TIF districts now.
Okay.
So, you know, that's an interesting point too, but you know, it would fall under increasing the tax base, but a lot of the things we do don't have a cause and effect relationship, just like all the money that we put in roads, you know, there's no direct return on those dollars. But yet this would have some return on these dollars from a tax-based standpoint, unless all that money was captured by a TIF district, and if that was a Decatur TIF district instead of county, it gets pretty interesting, I think.
Yeah, and we look at how that contributes to, you know, if we phase this and did, let's say, 3 different phases, each one of those phases would turn on at a different time, so we would want to make sure that we address that for you. So we're your strategists, and we get you to the closing line so that we get your developers invested but not over leveraged, and then hold them accountable for producing what you need.
So our next step, should we decide that we would like to further investigate residential housing on that piece of ground that we own, would be to begin more further due diligence with y'all to begin the investigative process?
Yeah, it's pretty turnkey for us. We would offer you a memorandum of understanding that basically says you're going to contribute the land as in, we may sell it, we may need it contributed in price too. As well as you'll commit to using whatever tools and resources you have available to you to be a part of the solution. We then will walk through about a 90 to 120 day phase of pre-development feasibility, including figuring out who you want as your development partner. But the most important aspect is making sure that what happens on top of this ground is beautiful, gorgeous, and attracts people. And so you'll help to do that. We have architects that do that. Once we get through that period, we should get to a go, no-go decision.
Well, let me ask you this. Obviously, one of the things that sits there on that site now is our jail.
Yeah.
I don't know whether you've been out there to look at that. I mean, it's a beautiful jail, but it's a jail. Do you see that as being an impediment to trying to figure through this whole process?
So the job that I came from before I did this was I was the City of Fort Wayne's Housing and Neighborhood Development Director, the first neighborhood and development, housing and
Well,
neighborhood.
we don't want to talk about Allen County jail issues.
But I've got to focus on downtown. So here's a jail sitting in the middle of our downtown, and what do we have?
Yeah,
All kinds of growth and the most expensive units in the region.
I use that as an example too. It's like, come on now, let's be real here. So,
Well,
we
a
plan-
friend of mine said if he always would rather live right next to the jail because he figured if somebody escapes, they're going to run farther.
and talk about having a lot of police presence. They like to hang out there. So,
Well, it's,
Great design goes a long way with all of
yeah.
yeah, and obviously has to be a lot of details worked out as far as, you know, like say with the developer, if you turn it over to a developer, is it limited to one entity, or do we offer the opportunity to multiple developers, even small developers?
Right.
So, you know, rather than just be exclusive.
That's when we develop a site like this, we are the developer of record, and we work with whoever you say you want to work with. And that could include as many or as few as you want to work with. But that's
Well, and I would open it up to multiple developers and I would rather it not be exclusive.
I just emailed you all, I don't know if you got this before or not, residential TIF discussion that Decatur is going to have on July 10th. I don't know if Colton knows if that has anything to do with what we're discussing now, but there was a notice that they're going to have a public hearing or meeting on the residential housing program July 10th, so.
But I guess
you got
that
it.
was kind of my point as far as residential TIF. If that becomes a TIF district, and if it becomes a Decatur TIF district, the county won't see any benefit from that tax base.
what I think is really important in this is that you have a true countywide effort. In many places, the county doesn't even come to the table. So as people see the Adams County is sort of taking the lead. It's like Mayor Long was 7 years ago when he decided to do his first development project, and now he's the centerpiece of some of the regional conversations. I think it's an important conversation to be had. You need housing throughout this county, and being aligned on these things will be critical. It can all be worked out. We do bring legal to our team and can help with, laying out what maybe would be the best way to structure that. We work with Barrett McNagny out of Fort Wayne, so we could also.
Mark, do you have thoughts on this, or Clayton, do you guys?
Yeah, I think, we've looked at we've got 40 acres, the ground that the county owns has got a lot of drainage issues. We've got Forum Run, we've got Andrew Miller ditch. But we've got 40 acres. That's pretty decent ground. It's got the Forum Run going through it, but we get that 40 acres adjacent to our other ground. Just wondering, we've talked a little bit about the possibility of acquiring that other acre tract just south of the 40 that we have, which butts up against, I guess that's High Street. And so I think we need to investigate that, because that would be really good access for utilities. It would access our other ground. I think that 25-acre tract we have, 24 acres, which is north of the jail, is really more suited for commercial development, but residential and commercial could be right in there. That 40 that we've got really is, if we had access to that, if we had that other 40 sitting there, you had that, now you got 80 acres. It's crazy. And it's right by, homesteads there, there's other housing on the street. If you have to obviously work with the city utilities. But anyway, I think we need to look at that. That would, just looking at the overall picture. And ideally, we've talked about, getting a bridge in over Forum Run and connecting back up with, our road there by the jail, which would, if there was housing over on that 40 or on that other 40, then that would link up nicely with, Kroger's is over there, Walmart, all the shopping, it's all right there. So it really would be nice if we could link that up. Because we don't have good access off of 33, that's limited. It's not a good alternative. Best access would be to come off the street and then link that up with Peace Keeper Way going all the way to that side of the idea.
This is the kind of dreaming that we like to do with communities. This is great.
So as far as from a practical standpoint, I 100% agree with you. From a relationship standpoint, how does that look from the county's perspective of having a relationship with Club 720, with Decatur, with developers, with us? As far as everybody, playing our part as a good team here. Do you see that as being a good relationship to?
That's what it's all about. You have to decide, we've heard for quite a while that we need to address housing. And so, it's countywide. It's not just the city. It's countywide. What benefits the county generally benefits the city.
If I was a developer and I saw a subdivision where the streets were in, the bridges were in, the utilities were in, and somebody was going to give me the lot, it'd be like, I'll bite on that.
Well, and we've learned that we can hold their feet to the fire a bit more because of all of the great work you all have done in your investment. We have more interest in developers coming in and giving us their very best. So we would develop a pattern book of how you want those units to look. Their draftsman would need to comply with how this looks so that there's a uniformity. it's the vision you want to cast that becomes the key here.
Interesting.
Some cost comes in the utilities and the infrastructure. You know, if that's something that the county and the city operate on, then the land, if the infrastructure is there, then the land pays for itself. The land is more valuable. The land can be sold.
Well, Nate can put in bridges for us and Brad can put in the roads and we'll be in good shape. And there's, yeah. Well, so what do we do next?
If you decide that you want to undertake this project with us, we would give you an MOU to execute. Now, there is the cost of doing the pre-development budget for a project like this is $50,000. That would be for all the site design work. It would be for basically everything to get to the finish line. We've not ever seen it go over that, but it's hiring all the folks to do that due diligence. So we oversee that process with you as our guiding coalition. And like I say, it's about a 90 to 120 day process.
Obviously, I would much rather do this from the standpoint of if we're gonna donate 120 acres of land, I would rather not us have be responsible for an additional 50 grand right off the top.
What I would suggest is if the project moves forward to construction, you get that 50,000 back.
Yeah.
Our goal will be to
Interesting.
get you as much back from your land, to be honest, as possible. And in Topeka, we were able to do that.
And like I say, we don't always look at infrastructure and a dollar for dollar payback.
Yep.
But we don't like to be milked either. So as far as, from, okay, here's all the land. And, oh yeah, here's
Yeah.
another $50,000. And then, oh yeah, we'd like you to put in a road, like you to put in, I think there has to be some clear understanding there.
We call it right sizing. So to the extent that a developer isn't willing to even study this right now on their dime of 50,000, it's because it's risky. In the event we get to that day, 120, and we figure out what this is going to look like, and there's just no way to get it across the finish line. We haven't had one like that yet. We had one community that looked like that and got nervous and said, we're just going to take a pause because it was a big gap. It was a lot of rental. What I would say on this is we're going to present you with enough options that you'll have a solution. And at that point, we say, okay, when it goes to closing, at least that $50,000 is coming back. If not, some portion of every lot sale goes back into your coffers to cover the cost of that land.
I think the reason it's important that we engage with an organization such as yourselves, when I look around just the community that I drive through Allen County and the developers are like, they can't build houses fast enough there. The development land is just, it's going crazy. When I drive through Adams County, it's like nothing or little to nothing going on. It's like, what's the difference? I don't understand the difference. You're helping me understand the difference. If I'm a developer and if I could go to Allen County and make plenty of money building homes in Allen County, why would I take a risk in developing a development in Adams County unless somebody's willing to help me mitigate that risk? And that's what I think you're helping us see is how we can help that developer mitigate that risk. Maybe not, and do it in a way that becomes competitive enough that we have multiple developers competing to build homes in Adams County versus I'm just going to take my tools and go to Allen County because I know I can make money up there.
That's what they say. They don't believe that you can absorb 1,000 units over 5 years, and we're convinced of it because we can see them coming on. We can
Right.
see those buyers.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I would say at this point, if you would have the ability to present an MOU that we can discuss among us and discuss with our attorneys, and that would be the next step for me, is to see an agreement in how it would work. So I don't know, what do you guys I mean, to me, that's the next step.
Yeah, I think it's helpful to think about, if things go well, we get paid for our land, we get reimbursed the $50,000. We don't just give to a developer that walks away with a lot of money, with a lot of profit, and Adams County foots the bill. I think it's important that we and that everybody understand that that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about a partnership where everybody wins.
Does that initial MOU, is that just between you and us? Or does that include Decatur? Does that include
No.
developers? So that initial MOU is just between you and us.
Yes.
So, because we've already hired you to do this work. And so this would be in addition to what we've already hired you to do.
Yes, so doing a catalyst site project is extremely risky. And our board, our nonprofit, has agreed that we can play that role as long as we don't have to foot the bill for the pre-development work to be done. Basically, and when I tell you about Wabash Legacy Heights, by the time we were able to get all of the financing assembled for that site, we were $300,000 above budget. So we had to go find a way to fund that. That free land from Parkview Hospital in that case that came through the city, we were able to leverage that improved land, which was worth more, to get that $300,000. So we're bearing the burden of the risk that the developer can't or won't take on. And so that's why it's different from doing a countywide housing strategy.
Yeah, it just kind of seems like there's an overlap there because initially when we talked to you, it wasn't just going to be a plan that lays on somebody's desk. It was going to be action. So I guess that's where I'm looking at what kind of action have we seen from that initial.
So some of the things that we're working on at the regional level, and we're happy to ask for this for you, is to the extent that we could get the region to pay for this type of a service, we're working on that. We have proposed it because the time it takes for us to implement a countywide housing strategy, which is different from this from a policy perspective, and then getting down into those projects is important at the regional level. So we can keep you posted on that. So what I'd say is in the event that we could get them to pay for that, we would be happy to champion that because that's part of the role we do. But the housing strategy work we're doing is running alongside of all of these catalyst sites.
All right, well, see what you come up with and we'll be interested to find out.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That card, maybe the card.
Clayton, Mark, did you guys have anything for us?
Yeah, rather quickly, I have, so it would be ordinance number 2024-6. Short title would be an ordinance of the Board of Commissioners, County of Adams, State of Indiana, designating purchase agents for Adams County and establishing a purchasing and procurement policy and designation of authorized agents, amending ordinance 2023-10. So 2023-10 is already our procurement and purchasing agent ordinance. This is the exact same ordinance. The only addition to it was in section 5. I added the portion that use of federal funds, purchases over $25,000. Any proposed vendor and or contractor shall provide a verified statement that such vendor and or contractor is not suspended or debarred from receiving federal funds. Alternatively, the Adams County Auditor shall review capital A, capital S, capital A, capital M.gov in order to confirm any proposed vendor and or contractor is eligible for federally funded projects and purchases.
I've discussed this with you guys over time, and Clayton and I have been working. I've been back and forth with the State Board of Accounts, the federal auditor, that so forth, other counties, and everything else. And Clayton's helped me put together a two-pronged thing, which in the end, Clayton, I think we pretty much told us it would take both of these things during an audit.
Based on what the SBOA said, I think with that provision in the ordinance, and then also based on what other counties have that Tony kindly got to me, I prepared, it's basically an Adams County certification regarding suspension and eligibility or debarment that Tony's already told me, and it has instructions on it. He's going to alert, any and all departments that this needs to be taken care of. And we're probably, as it kind of says, it's going to all run through the auditor's office anyway to make sure that this process is abided by.
Because it all has to do with the audit, and it sounds like I also have to check on SAM.gov, particularly if we can't find proof, if they don't sign this, that they have proof. And then we'll put that out in the V drive. Like Clayton said, we'll alert any departments that deal with federal dollars over $25,000. This has to be signed and filled out and returned back to me. I don't know if we need an official action on the certification. The ordinance, yes. Not sure about the certification.
I don't think official action needs to be taken on the certification, but yeah, just the ordinance itself.
That's the,
That's the ordinance.
that's the revised ordinance, then I think we need to prepare a form that's an affidavit.
Which is,
Yeah, that's what this is.
Yep.
Yep.
You got a separate affidavit
Yep.
from the ordinance.
Yes.
correct. This is
Yeah.
the separate affidavit certification.
To make sure the ordinance itself, you adopt the ordinance, we can always modify the affidavit as necessary, but then the affidavit itself is the contractor certifying that they meet the requirements that if they have any licensed professionals, that those professionals are at the time of the execution and at any time during the contract, their licensing is in effect. They're not suspended, they're not disbarred. So engineers, their license is in effect. Attorneys, they're not disbarred. That during the contract, at the time they sign the contract, sign the affidavit, that they are current. They're not.
And this is nothing new. We've been actually doing this.
We've been doing it.
We've been doing it. We're just adjusting the procurement policy to reflect what
Correct.
our
It's really just more
procedures.
making a paper trail and a paper record of what we've already been doing.
Motion
More
approved.
official.
All right.
It really came about because of ARPA, to be honest.
Yeah, I remember the ARPA discussions.
And I think Highway Department's already been doing it.
2024-6.
Okay.
All right, motion carries. Thank you.
Steve had to create his own line and figure out a different. I'll do it really. Yeah. That's all right.
Does that call a purchase and procurement policy when
It's a purchase and procurement ordinance. It's just a revised version of the original ordinance.
It added one paragraph.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna go to detail, it's just,
The original one was it was ordinance number 2023-10 was the original one, or that was probably even a revised version of,
okay.
it's gone through many iterations.
You can kind of split your signature line up on the 2 pages. That's it. Sign it on whichever page you want.
Yep.
I just put it above my name. Good morning.
Well, if that'll keep the State Board of Accounts from crawling up your stairway.
Well, I mean, that'll definitely give us a paper trail we didn't have last year. And they even said that they didn't even blame counties for having that noted because nobody knew about it. But now we should be covered. I think Highway Department, anybody that dealt with NDOT had already been including this in their contracts because they were aware of it. But like other companies that we dealt with ARPA, like Service Electric and things like that, had never,
You didn't know.
no.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, very good. Anything else? Okay. Shannon, what do you have for us?
So I just have an update on Golden Meadows. And I have something written down. I'm gonna give you guys a copy.
You spent a long time out there with the folks,
I think-
Shannon, and lived with this situation now for quite some time. I get it, how you get attached not only to the place, but to the residents, to the staff. And this is kind of the culmination of all that. So the fact that you're a little emotional, I get that.
Thank you. So yesterday afternoon, the last resident of Golden Meadows was safely relocated to their new home. First and foremost, I would like to offer tremendous gratitude to all of the employees who have supported the residents, their families, and the facility throughout this bittersweet process. Golden Meadows has served many residents over the years, providing safe and reliable housing for those in need. We wish for nothing but the best for all prior residents moving forward. Throughout its history, Golden Meadows has historically seen great community involvement, and we'd like to encourage those who have generously donated to the home over the years to offer their support to another worthwhile cause in the Adams County community. I would also like to thank Andy Myers, Dane Wheeler, and Barbara Lewis from Adams Memorial Hospital for lending their expertise, as well as Adams County Solid Waste, the Adams County Regional Sewer District, and Adams County Buildings and Grounds for offering assistance on various projects over the last year. Last, but certainly not least, I would like to thank Brenda Johns for guiding the county throughout this process with grace and working tirelessly to find each resident a safe and appropriate facility where they have the opportunity to live a peaceful life. That's all
Very nice.
That's all I have for today.
Yeah, the next time I call you and ask you to be a liaison for us, you're gonna think twice.
I am, absolutely. But yeah, it really has been a bittersweet process. I can confidently say that all of the residents who have lived there since the council and commissioners made this decision have gone to a facility that is appropriate for them. It's safe for them. They have the best possible quality of life. So while it's been very hard to get to know them, it is very positive, and I'm confident that they're going to be in the best place for them moving forward.
Does Brenda have any final work out there yet, or is she?
Yes, we've got another couple weeks of donating items and relocating items from the facility, and then eventually we'll have to move into a project to digitize all the files and things like that to make sure that we don't lose any data and all that fun stuff, so. Okay.
Yeah, very good.
Thank you.
I've always resisted this decision because I thought, this is an opportunity for us to provide, the best living experience for these people that we could. So in the process of relocating, I think we have come to learn through the hospital expertise and through your expertise and Brenda, that sometimes there were better places that these people could be and have a better life experience.
Absolutely.
And do it more efficiently and more modernly. And so it's been a challenge for you especially, but like you say, they have Brenda out there. She's such an expert in their physical health, their mental health, their home life, their everything. And then the finance to find ways to do this has been incredible. I just, I'm so impressed with how this has happened. Like we talked about one other county home in the county who just said, okay, we're shutting down in 30 days, boom. And that was not the way we were going to have it, not the way we're going to do it.
So thank you to you all as well for your support throughout the last year and having the faith in me and I was able to liaison between Golden Meadows and you guys. It has been an eye-opening experience, and I've built great relationships that I'll take with me, but we are no longer in operation, and we're just kind of in the cleanup phase now, so.
Very good. At this
Thank you.
point, we've got some decisions moving ahead as far as the things that are left
When
there,
this began
plus
last year,
also
weren't there 20
the building.
people living there, had 22 workers at that time?
I believe last year when we started, there was 25 people, and
25.
that residents.
Oh, I don't know. Okay, 20 employees and 25 residents. Is this a copy of what you read to us?
Yes.
Thank you again, Shannon.
Thank you, Shannon.
All right.
When we talked about June or July as being a possible, I really didn't think we'd hit that goal
Right.
and do it the way that we were able to do it. I think we were very fortunate that we had the right people in place and with the help of the hospital to find a path forward, to find a better opportunity for each one of those residents. And everyone got an individualized solution to their need. And we were able to, with the help of council and with commissioners, we were able to take the appropriate amount of time and do it the right way. And I'm just proud of the fact that we were able to do that.
Well, you spent a lot of time out there too.
I did, and that's the reason I knew what Shannon was going through. You develop a relationship with the staff and with the residents out there that is just, that catches you by surprise. Served its purpose well, but I think it was time to move on.
All right. Very good. Okay. Anything else from the general public?
Just one note, remember, Right to Life will be here this Saturday from 10 to 11 at the courthouse.
And they're having any speakers or anything like that, or what?
Those will be out there from 10 to 11 this Saturday.
All right. And I don't know if we need a motion to approve that.
I think it was already approved.
It was already approved. I was
He's just
just
making mention of
I
it.
was just mentioning that it's this coming Saturday.
Very good. All right. Yes, sir.
After the meeting, right? Or?
This is the gentleman that Rick was supposed to talk to, that I talked to you guys about, and Rick did not talk to him. So he is here to talk to you after the meeting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Good.
Make a motion, adjourn.
Well,
Does he want after the meeting or?
After the meeting. This is not a for meeting thing.
all right.
Ready for motion to adjourn, boss?
Yep.
I'll make that motion.